Hello, I am late. I am so sorry. I didn't realize there was so much that I had left to do. So, I'm a little bit hot. Hopefully, the air kicks on soon. Just trying to get it adjusted here. Get a little womper jawed. How is everyone? I hope everyone is well. Hey, David. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Kaleidoscope. Hello, Chaotic Beauty. How are you? Kaleidoscope. So glad you're here. Sharon and Angel Bear. Hi, guys. Kaleidoscope of Crime. Glad you're here. Lynn. David. Always like to say Sharon Parker twice. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Chris. Glad you're here. Hello, Monica. Where'd it go? Hey, back. True Crime with Sunshine. Thanks for being here. Grandma Sherry, thank you for being here, ma'am. Glad you're here. Support with Steffa, so good to have you here. I listened to you the other night on It's a Crime and Shame, and I really enjoyed what you were talking about, and you're totally right. I didn't know that there's victim advocacy groups outside of like the prosecutor's office. So that was cool to learn as far as when families are in the investigative phase. So that was really, I enjoyed learning something new from you. Angel Bear, say hi to her again. Polygraph, hello. The Stand, look who decided to stop by. Hello, sir. How are you? Glad you're here. Reach into my soul and pull. It won't hurt. That is a great name. Hello, how are you? I hope you're well. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Well, I'm glad you're doing great. Lighting the way home for the vanished. Did I miss someone? Well, hello, anyways. Medicine Man. Peace be unto you. That is from the Quran, I believe. Is it the Quran? Yeah. Oh, there we go. I forget that StreamYard is late. So glad to have you here. All right, guys. So I am going to go ahead and get started. I have a lot to cover. I've been following Karena McClerkin's case since I know it was after Delphi, sadly. There really was limited coverage on the case except for like the Kokomo Tribune. And so I think, once there was some more articles written in 2017 after the murders, and it was sometime around in there. But I really didn't start to really dive deep until I think it was late 2017, early 2018, because that was my first time learning anything about true crime sleuthing on Facebook. So, yeah, it is a hello, Arctic Fox True Crime. Glad to have you here. True Crime Recliner. Glad to see you. But yeah, so I've been following it for a really long time, gathering all kinds of screenshots and information. And I made a little video when I first started doing videos, and sadly, it's kind of an embarrassing one because it's not very good, and I got the date wrong. So, October, I put August, and that is not okay. So, I am going to do it tonight. Obviously, we all know about the news here last week. But I would like to start with the timeline as far back as we can go. And so while I'm not completely, I haven't really, there was a lot more than I thought. So there may be some things missing, but we'll at least be able to go year by year and get a pretty good timeline as far as Karena McClerkin's missing date of October 11th, 2016. So without further ado, hello, Beholder. Glad you're here. Good to see you. Oh, where'd it go? There she is. And Kristen behind the crime door. Glad you're here. Lee. Nice to have you here. All right, here we go. I want to start out by reading this. It's a poem, so I'm just going to read it really quick. You don't just lose someone once. You lose them over and over, sometimes many times a day. When the loss momentarily forgotten creeps up and attacks you from behind, fresh waves of grief, as the realization hits home, they are gone again. You don't just lose someone once. You lose them every time you open your eyes to a new dawn. And as you awaken, so does your memory. So does the jolting bolt of lightning that rips into your heart. They are gone again. Losing someone is a journey, not a one-off. There is no end to the loss. There is only a learning skill on how to stay afloat when it washes over. Be kind to those who are sailing this stormy sea. They have a journey ahead of them and a daily shock to the system each time they realize they are gone again. You don't just lose someone once, you lose them every day for a lifetime. This was written by Donna Ashworth, and it's from an excerpt from, I believe it's a book, I Wish I Knew. The link is in the description, and you can buy it on Amazon. But Miss Gerry McClurkin, Karina's grandmother, shared that on her Facebook, and I saw it. And yeah, I think it was important for me to like start this off and honoring their family. And thank you guys for listening to that beautiful poem. So Karina was from It's a Criming Shame. They did an interview with a fellow, and then Miss Gerry joined their show about halfway through. I will go ahead and copy this link. Wait, will it let me? Come on now. I just sounded like Jimbo, didn't I? Come on now. Let me go ahead and put this in the description here. This is the timestamp for, it should be timestamped for when she was on It's a Criming Shame. It's a 2.5, 3-hour show, and it's really, really good. This is just the part where Miss Sunny had to ask her to tell her audience, or their audience, about Karina. And this is just some things that I wrote down that she has said. Karena was born September 26, 1998. Karena, aka ReRe, I think that's how they say it, was a beautiful soul and sorry, let me start over. Karena, aka ReRe, was a beautiful, soulful, and naive young adult. She loved to make people happy and made her presence known in any room. In October of 2016, having just turned 18 years old, she held her grandmother Gerry's hand and said, "I'll be okay, Mamaw," and took off for Flint Vincent Farmer's home. She was never seen alive after the 11th of October, 2016. And again, that was taken from the interview, and the link is to It's a Crime and Shame and that particular episode. Please do subscribe. They have some really good content, and they are most enjoyable. It's Deb, Aspen, and Sunny. Okay, so far as the timeline of events goes, September 26th of 1998 was when she was born. On October 11th of 2016, she was last seen at a residence in the 1000 block of South Washington near Markland in Kokomo, Indiana, and that is the county of Howard. October 13, 2016 is when she was reported missing. On November 5th of 2016, I have an article to read on this, so I'm going to go ahead and, well, first let's look at some pictures of the beautiful oh, let me hide. Oh, hey Randy, how are you? Glad you're here. Okay, let me share my screen here. Hopefully that's, there we go. And this is Karena. I mean, she's just literally so gorgeous, so perfect. You can see her kind eyes. That was what really stood out to me when I first saw her image, like her photos and images that they had on her Facebook page, which is also in the description of the episode. It's just such kind eyes, inquisitive. I don't know. Those are just things that I thought of when I saw her pictures, and just very sweet and had, I don't know, a naivete, like her grandmother said about her. Just truly beautiful. Like she really just so, look at that. I mean, she's literally so gorgeous. So pretty. This is her family. This is Gerry here, and this is her dad, and these are siblings. And this was taken from a news article. So this is her missing persons, one of her missing persons flyers. I do have the Charlie Project in the show notes. Karena McClerkin, last seen on 10/11 of 16 in Kokomo, Indiana, wearing half black shirt, ripped jeans, brown sandals, quote, "RIP" tattoo on right shoulder, last seen around 10 p.m. walking south down Washington Street in the 1000 block. Has been reported missing to Kokomo Police Department. Please speak up if you know anything. And then she was 5'4", 130 to 135 pounds. And then we'll get to that later. Everybody able to see this okay? Pull up the chat. Okay, so this was in November 5th of 2016. Volunteers showed up to help James McClurkin find his missing daughter, Karena McClerkin, who has been missing for almost a month on November 5th, 2016. Some volunteers come out of the woods here near the bridge at 500 East near Kokomo Reservoir. And that was a photo taken by Tim Bath. A community-led search for a missing Kokomo teen resulted in a new... I gotta take a drink. A community-led search for a missing Kokomo teen resulted in a new clues Saturday afternoon. From 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., the family of 18-year-old Karena McClerkin, along with friends and residents, scoured the area around the Wildcat Creek Reservoir in hopes of finding any signs of the missing teen. "We want her home," said James McClurkin, Karena's father. "We want her to get her life straight. She's just 18. She has a whole future." Karena was last seen October 11th walking down the 1000th block of South Washington Street. Since then, flyers with the teen's photo and description of what she was wearing the last night she was seen, a black crop top, ripped denim jeans, and brown sandals, have posted on social media and throughout the community. "She was outspoken, kind, but considerate," her father said, "and she was a great person to be around." Karena was also dealing with substance abuse issues, although she was turning her life around. Quote, "She doesn't want to be out there in these streets," James said. She made that comment. As speculative stories have made rounds across the internet about his daughter, James says the Kokomo Police Department hasn't confirmed any of the hearsay, which is why he's taking it upon himself to do what he can to find his daughter. "I plan to let the police do their investigation while I just turn rocks over, and hopefully I knock on the right door and someone knows something," James said. And since he lives a little over an hour outside of Kokomo, James recently lost his job due to the amount of time he's dedicated to searching for Karena. He's since found a new position, but said he'll be back in Kokomo every weekend until his daughter is found. "I've got a map I'm going to pan out, and we'll be here passing out flyers one square at a time until I cover the area, and then I'll start back over again if Karena's not found," James said. And to anyone who may know of the whereabouts of Karena, her father pleads for them to send any tips, even anonymously, to bring her home. "Anybody that's selling dope or involved in dope, I just need them to take the time to sober up and pick up the phone and do the right thing," James said. This case is still ongoing, an ongoing investigation by the Kokomo Police Department, according to KPD spokesman. I was hoping it was going to... Nope. There we go. Okay, this is the next article I found. This was on February 21st. Well, yeah, February 21st of 2017. Following several reports of a runaway juveniles and one missing person, police have released information about those cases and are asking anyone with additional information to contact the Kokomo Police Hotline. Karena McClerkin, 18, Kokomo, was reported as a missing person to the Kokomo Police Department. She was last seen October 11th of 2016. KPD's Criminal Investigation Section is actively working this investigation, according to KPD press release. Ooh, that's a scary place right there. This is on a side note. This was March 23rd of 2017. The family of Karena McClerkin are still desperately seeking any information on the whereabouts of the 18-year-old. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to pause and get something for my mouth. It is like so dry. But luckily, I have some mouthwash. So I'm really sorry. I will be right back. Sorry about that. Hopefully my dry mouth rinse will work. I don't know what's going on. I think it's this new freaking diet I'm on. It's so irritating. Anyways, we're going to get back to this once I find where I was. Nope. And close it so I don't go back. Okay. In April, it will have been 6 months since the Kokomo teen went missing last October. The Kokomo Police Department started a missing persons case regarding Mcclurkin on October 13th, according to a press release from the KPD sent out 5 days later. Mcclurkin is described as a black female, approximately 5'4" tall, medium build, and having reddish brown shoulder-length hair. She has a RIP tattoo on her right arm and normally wears glasses. Any information regarding this case and the whereabouts of Mcclurkin is asked to contact Captain Teresa Galloway at 765-456-7326 or the Kokomo Police Department hotline at 765-456-7017. And this still is a active investigation. I mean, they did say that they were going to be arresting more. And hello, Daisy. And I see that I have some new members. Grandma Sherry, welcome. And support with Steffa. Thank you, guys. I am really behind on my members, so you're going to have to bear with me. I don't know. For some reason, I just really struggle with what to do. But we're going to have a research session here really soon, like probably tomorrow, to be honest, because this is going to leave us with so many things to look into. So we're probably going to do that tomorrow night. And I just don't know a good time of day to do it. I can't do it late tomorrow. I'm free really anytime. I'm not an early bird, so anytime after 2 and before midnight. So just let me know in the comments of like what are good times, and then I'll just kind of pick the median of those times for members only. Keeping their memory alive. There is Miss Gerry. Kokomo members of the Milwaukee Iron Clubhouse took a ride Saturday in memory of dozens of unsolved murders and missing cases in Indiana. There are over 200 open missing persons cases in Indiana right now, said Julie Wise, state outreach coordinator for Community United Effort, a nonprofit missing persons search and recovery agency. In addition to forming search parties across the country, CUE advocates for families and provides supportive services such as canine rescue, foot searchers, water teams, and much more. In the past several years, CUE has led searchers in Kokomo following the 2011 disappearance of Kelly Armstrong and the 2009 disappearance of Esther Westenbarge. Maybe there is a place that is more specific to. Here we go. Bikers traveled from Kokomo to Galveston down to Burlington and reconvened back at the courthouse square in downtown Kokomo, where a rally took place with several speakers, family members, and supporters in the community. Gerry Mcclurkin, the grandmother of Karena McClerkin, who went missing from Kokomo in October 2016 at the age of 18, attended the event. Mcclurkin said she's grateful for the community support shown to her and her family through the benefit ride and hopes to partner with CUE in the coming months to continue to search for her granddaughter. I'm happy they're doing this, Mcclurkin said. This will be the third time Milwaukee Iron has helped me. The grandfather of Liberty German and, okay, I think that is the end of, yeah. So, yeah, this is the ride that they do. That was really cool to that they do that. She's such a strong woman. And you can just see that her sadness. It's heartbreaking. Let's see. It doesn't say which one is. Still missing. Grandmother and father of missing Kokomo teen, broken, but will not rest until she's found. For 8 months, Gerry Mcclerkin has scoured the corners of Kokomo, desperately searching for any sign of her granddaughter, 18-year-old Karena McClerkin, missing since October 11th of 2016. She leaves no rock unturned, and she searches wooded areas, parks, and swamps nearly every week, with only a few friends by her side. With frustration, Gerry admits she still has nothing to show for her efforts. It's just hard, Gerry said. We're looking for a needle in a haystack, and all we want is her back. And if people have information, they just need to come forward. Karena was last seen in Kokomo walking the 1000 block of South Washington Street one evening last October. Since her disappearance, there has been some news coverage, posters plastered about businesses in the area, and photos circulating on social media of the curly-haired teenager with glasses who seemingly vanished without a trace. James Mcclurkin, Karena's father, remembers her as a goofball who seldom had a filter for telling people how she felt. She was just me at a younger age, James said in a telephone interview. Karena was a bright child who had made some bad decisions, he said, and before she could turn her life around, those decisions caught up with her. At age 15, Karena began using drugs and had battling drug and alcohol addiction through her teens. Both James and Gerry believe that lifestyle may have played a role in Karena's disappearance. James shares his mother's discontent with ongoing searches for his daughter as he acknowledges his hope is dwindling after months of searching. He admits what no father would hope to have to acknowledge, that his daughter is dead. Quote, I believe deep down inside she's gone because she would have reached out to her family by now, he said. I would like to have hope, but my daughter's alive, that my daughter is alive, but I just have a gut feeling that it's going to go wrong. Still, James commits to continuing his search for Karena when he can. Living a little over an hour away from Kokomo, he uses the minimal time he's allotted off from work to visit Kokomo and continue the search along with his mother and a handful of community members who have also committed to helping find Karena. Andrea Glassburn is one of Gerry McClurkin's walkers, as she describes. Glassburn has accompanied Gerry on walks down the Wildcat Creek and other rural areas in search of Karena's body. They usually travel with sticks to maneuver the terrain, which becomes more difficult to move through depending on the weather. Glassburn began helping with searches in November, 1 month after Karena went missing. Although she never knew the teenager and did not know Gerry at the time, she said she was moved to help in any way she could. Quote, just seeing how Gerry was hurting and pretty much begging everybody to try to help her, Glassburn said. She needs somebody there to be there and support her, and so does Karena's dad. And I just feel like I need to be there to help her. Wow, what a great lady. The first community-led search for Karena happened shortly after her disappearance on November 6, 2016. Over a dozen people came out in search of the teen who had gone missing just weeks after her 18th birthday. Since then, Gerry feels community support has diminished as her frustrations with the local police department have grown. In the months since Karena went missing, Gerry has received numerous messages on Facebook with tips from sources that remain unnamed. They claim to know where Karena's body is, suggesting several locations and leading Gerry on a desperate chase for answers. So not okay. The tips received are relayed to the Kokomo Police Department, Gerry said, although she doesn't feel they are being given a proper follow-up. Quote, that's why the cops don't like me, because I'm going in there with a different story every time I went. Gerry said, I'm flip-flopping back and forth like a fish out of water, but one of those clues could have found my granddaughter. Wow, I'm going to read that again. That's why the cops don't like me, because I was going in there with a different story every time. Now, where did she get these stories? From people on Facebook. Okay, but you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So anything could be important. So she's doing the right thing. I'm flip-flopping back and forth like a fish out of water, but one of those clues could have found my granddaughter. But according to Captain Tonda Cottrell of the Kokomo Police Department, investigating a missing person case is much more complex, with an overall goal to solve the case in a manner that gives the prosecutor a viable case for trial, if the investigation leads to that point. Components of the investigation will not be made public, and information is shared only with immediate family members, such as parent or spouse. Quote, I can just say that some investigations are more complex and lengthy than others, Cottrell wrote in an email. This is sometimes frustrating for family members who are attempting to cope. Our investigators understand the family interest in an investigation. A case agent on an investigation attempts to keep the family informed on the status of the case, as well as on the process of the investigation. A case agent on an investigation attempts to keep. Okay. James Mcclurkin remains hopeful that investigators on his daughter's case are doing everything in their power to uncover what happened to Karena. Quote, in my soul, I want to believe that they're doing everything they possibly can with what they have, he said. He added that the officer on this case, Detective John Webster, has always openly communicated and provided what updates there have been in the case, but he understands that some information is withheld for the advancement of the case. In the meantime, James is devoted to continuing his search for Karena. He'll continue to sift through tips that come in through social media, although he finds it frustrating that some people are providing empty tips that lead to nowhere. He still hopes for that one tip that will reveal some answers. He's at his wit's end. I'm at my wit's end, Gerry Mcclurkin said. We don't know where to go. We don't know where to look. We don't know who to believe. Even with doubts of ever finding Karena, Gerry and James refuse to stop searching, and their plea to the public is for anyone who knows anything to come forward, even if only anonymously. Let me know what you know, Gerry said. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what drugs you're doing. Just tell us where our daughter is so we can get her body back and put her soul to rest. That's all we want. The Mcclurkin family has set up a GoFundMe account here. I'm going to see if this is still active, because if it is, I'm going to be sharing it. No, it's not. Darn it. Okay. They hope to raise enough money to hire a private investigator to provide fresh eyes to the case, Gerry said. The account was opened in November 2016 and has so far raised $340 towards a $10,000 goal. Again, anyone with information, Sergeant John Webster at 765-456-7233. And Kokomo Police Department hotline at 765-456-7017. And then I believe that was, well, I wanted to see the date of that one, June 16th of 2017. And so these were some things from November. We're going to backtrack a little bit because I just got to reading on the Kokomo. So November of 2016, KPD, and this was all, I found this all on, this is in the show notes. It's on Court TV, Unsolved, What Happened to Karena McClerkin. And I have it timestamped for this particular part. But they found blood evidence in the trunk of a car, asked her father for DNA, told him that Flint Vincent Farmer killed Karena, and to start looking for her body. On April 5th, during an interview with Court TV, Gerry said that law enforcement had not returned her son James's inquiries into the status of his daughter's case. This was April 5th of 2022 when she did this interview, even though the information goes back to November of 2016. And then October 13th of 2017, this article is very similar to the ones that we just read, so I'm not going to read it. And then on October 30th of 2020, and we're going to go back to Kokomo because they have done a lot of articles on her. And I know they have some, I think there's one in 2018. But Adventures with Purpose came out to look for Karena, and they had, Miss Gerry had been given information that her body was behind a hotel in a kind of swampy pond. And they had some other locations that they wanted Adventures with Purpose, which is a dive team, to help them to clear in an attempt to find Karena. This lady, her name was Renee. She was in jail when she turned in the tip. I'm trying to remember her name. I know it was Renee, but anyways, she was the one that told them that of this hotel, and that Karena was lowered out of a window, and they walked her body back 500 yards to a swamp, and the hotel is in Kokomo. And so obviously that was the big fat lie, and that happened to them. And they've just been wrought with those kinds of things. They've had people inserting themselves into the investigation, claiming to have seen her, you name it, and they've had to deal with it. And it's just really sad. There has been not a lot of help, but a lot of rumors. And of course, it has been like Nicole Bowen's family, Ray Hainish's family, and many more, the Evansdale, Lyric and Elizabeth, and so many others. It has been this thread of connection to Delphi, and people have just built that little tiny, like, whimsical thread into a big, huge rope that they try to pull in all of these other cases to. And I do understand it. I really do. I do understand. And at the same time, it's not fair. It's not okay to do that to the victims' families, Karena's family, and all the other ones. I watched Cheryl, Nicole's mom, have to deal with that for years, and still has to deal with that. And it was, and she's such a graceful woman. I mean, she's just so full of grace and mercy and love. And she's taught me so much about being a woman. And I appreciate her and Ginger and Sharon, Dottie, and Roxanne so much. And they've really showed me a way of loving that I never would have even imagined you could. And Gerry is one of those people too. She reminds me so much of Cheryl, just super strong, a huge heart, and a love for her family that she would die for. And please don't do that. Please, there will be a time and a place where talk of that could happen, but it's not right now. And it needs to be kind of separate. So that's just my overall stance. And I really appreciate Sunny and Deb and Aspen kind of allowing me to make comments in their chat, and then and also not because of me, but because of their own hearts of like taking a stand against that with Karena McClerkin as well. And many others do as well. And I know Kristen, behind the crime door, she does a great job of covering cases and staying on topic. And there's so many more. And so that's just my call to non-action, if you will. Just not right now. So yeah, as you can see, 2017 has a good amount of, there was a Christmas tree raffle. Mcclurkin family and friends continue searching for missing teen, gather downtown. I mean, they really did everything that they could. They would go out and hold signs and just demand that action be taken. This was in 2018. Hopefully it gives us an article linked with it. Nope. Apparently no article, just the picture. KPD, do your job. Still missing. October 11th, 2016. Her life mattered. We want fresh eyes. This must be her friend. Yeah. Alicia Gosney and Gerry McClurkin stand outside of Save-A-Lot at Morgan and State Road 931 with signs on April 30th of 2018. A letter. Karena McClerkin, 18, last seen on Tuesday, October 11, 2016 at 10 p.m. at the intersection of Washington Street and Markland Avenue in Kokomo, Indiana. She is described as a black female, 5'4", 130 pounds, with reddish-brown shoulder-length hair. She wears glasses and has RIP tattooed on her right arm. Karena was last seen wearing a black shirt, gray hoodie, ripped jeans, and brown sandals. This was in February 23rd of 2020. So June 5th of 2021, I did find 6 articles. So notice the timing of that. June 5th. So Kokomo Tribune, and there were 6 different, some of them, they have an association like Associated Press, but they went out to all of these different places across the states and farther. So, and then if anyone knows when Paul Holes came into the case, please do let me know, because I know that there was a tip from Florida, and I also just listened to John Lorden. I'm not sure which show it is of his, but if you type in his name, I think there's one that's called like Brain Scratch, Case Cracked. I think he has another one. But I was just listening to his coverage of Karena McClerkin, and he's also one that has covered her case from pretty far back. So I did find that, and hopefully you guys will be able to too if I did. But so we're going to read. This one had a picture. It was in June 5th of 2021. Come on. Come on. Oh, there. Yeesh. No, close these out. Oh. Oh, boy. No one has seen Karena McClerkin since she walked into a home. Oh, interesting. No one has seen Karena McClerkin since she walked into a home in Kokomo 4 years ago. Frank Joey Giza was supposed to leave. So these are different cases, and it will take me forever to read this huge article. So I'm just going to read her parts. And I'm really sorry to their families. But it gets confusing. So Karena McClerkin's family still looks. I'll be okay, Mamaw, was the last words Karena McClerkin texted to her grandmother before she disappeared, visiting a Kokomo house in 2016. The 18-year-old wanted to get clean from drugs and assured Gerry McClurkin that she'd be fine meeting up with a boy and partying for one last time at the home in the 1000 block of South Washington Street. It would be her last, Gerry McClurkin said. Every day for 2 years, Gerry McClurkin and Karena's father, James McClurkin, led search parties to find her, to no avail. They grabbed their shovels and dug any time a tip flowed in. Wow. Flowed in, sorry. They still do 4 years later. I get phone calls randomly and I leave. I go get the shovels, James McClurkin said, and we dig. We walk through rivers. We walk through lakes. Wow. Daily search searches become weekly excursions. Their family may not know where Karena McClerkin is, James McClurkin said, but they certainly know where she isn't. The McClurkins feel that they're the last one taking up the torch in Karena's McClurkin's case, and though police and the Kokomo community have lost interest. James McClurkin pulled the $75,000 he saved in his 401k. Oh my gosh. Sorry. As a reward fund. I'm such a crybaby. That's okay to cry, right? But I don't think I'll be able to read. Getting all in my feels again, chaotic. Oh. Well, now I have to go blow my nose. So I will be right back. You guys can read. So I'm so sorry. I'll be right back. Okay. That just hit me, like he had to take all the money out of his 401k. His own, obviously families put forth their own money all the time, but the entire, that just, this hits. Gerry McClurkin continues to organize searches on Facebook. She reminds the small town about her granddaughter by waving signs. Across, my gosh. Across the Kokomo Police Department that read Karena McClerkin is still missing from Kokomo, Indiana since October 11th of 2016. She'll stay until her last breath, Gerry McClurkin said, since no one else will. She's plunged into sewers to find Karena McClurkin with the Facebook post to prove it. She walks miles into woods from Peru to Jerome. Interesting. She and Gerry McClurkin have cracked holes in ice over lakes to see if Karena McClurkin's body bobs up. 3 private investigators, bloodhounds, to sniff out bodies, and an expert team of divers have turned up no answers. I have beat myself up umpteen dozen times to find this girl, Gerry McClurkin said. I have begged, I have pleaded with people to stand and hold signs. She sees the flood of news coverage surrounding the Delphi murders and wonders how she can't find a single person to join her searches. She can't help but think it's because her granddaughter is a mixed-race girl who got caught up in the wrong crowd. Gerry and James McClurkin led another search Saturday, May 22nd, at a park on East Carter Street. They didn't find anything. So sad. I hadn't read that one yet, so sorry about that. So now we're getting to the fall of 2021. KPD received, this is according to the affidavit that I will read here in a little bit. KPD received information that was enough to send the Howard County Prosecutor's Office, send the case to Howard County Prosecutor's Office for review to arrest Flint Vincent Farmer. On April 5th of 2022, during an interview with Court TV, Gerry said that law enforcement had not returned her son James's inquiries into the status of her daughter's case, of his daughter's case. Unbeknownst to Karena's father and grandmother and family, KPD had turned the case over to the prosecutor in the fall of 2021. So they just spent, how long is that? A year? Year and a half, or just not getting any information. And this is her father. Just I wanted to note that, like, we'll get to it at the end, and it's going to go a different way than what everybody's thinking. But you have to shine a light on things in order to see if there's any way to fix them. And not that I think that we or I can do that, but it might be somewhere that people could get the idea to encourage law enforcement to extend an olive branch, and for the family to get the encouragement that they so desperately need to get through the next phase of Karena's case, murder case now. It's going to be grueling, but we'll get there. So I got to go back here first. Okay. So this was in June of 2022. Another Milwaukee Iron Motorcycle Club in Kokomo hosted its 7th annual Keeping Their Memory Alive fundraiser on Saturday to raise money and awareness for local missing person cases and unsolved murders. Our hearts go out to these kinds of things, Milwaukee Iron member Bill Scratch Pelfrey said. It's not about just raising the money, it's about raising awareness. That's why we try to make this as big as we can to get the public involved, because more people you have who are aware, the better the chances we're going to find people. The fundraiser this year included drinks, street tacos from the El Rancho food truck, a bounce house, and of course, a motorcycle ride. Keeping their memory alive has helped keep cases like Karena McClerkin's at the forefront of people's minds, so those missing people are not forgotten. Missing persons cases are not only the only cases the event raises awareness of, however, keeping their memory alive also remembers people whose murders have gone unsolved. And then we move to July of 2022. Man facing murder charge in Mcclurkin's case. After years of investigation, the Kokomo Police Department arrested a man Monday afternoon who they believe was involved in the murder of a Kokomo teenager missing since October of 2016. Flint Vincent Farmer, 56, of Kokomo, is now facing a preliminary charge of murder, a level 1 felony, for his alleged involvement in the death of 18-year-old Karena McClerkin, according to KPD media release. Mcclurkin was last seen on October 11, 2016, at a residence in the 1000 block of South Washington Street, per the release. Since that time, authorities have followed up on numerous leads related to her disappearance, including one in the fall of 2021. Police did not indicate in the release what additional information they received at that time, but it was enough to present to the Howard County Prosecutor's Office for review. And Monday, an arrest warrant was officially issued for Farmer, who was located and arrested without incident at a residence in the 600 block of North Purdom Street. Police did not release any additional details surrounding Farmer's direct connection to McClurkin's disappearance, and investigators believe more arrests could still be made. Farmer is currently being held without bond at the Howard County Jail, and an initial hearing has not yet been set. Anyone with additional information is asked to contact Lieutenant Richard Benzinger at 765-456-7324 or at RBENZINGER at City of Kokomo, that's KOKOMO.org. RBEZINGER City of KOKOMO.org. You can also contact the KPD hotline at 765-456-7017 or Central Indiana Crime Stoppers at 1-800-262-TIPS. That's where I'd go. And to the lieutenant. News of McClurkin's disappearance in 2016 captured the hearts and minds of so many throughout Howard County, and Monday's news of an arrest in the case did the same. The whole of Kokomo is grieving. I don't feel like that's something that... Justice for Ray, another person wrote, "Now we fight." Guarantee that was a family member. The Tribune reached out to the McClurkin family Monday afternoon, but they were not immediately available for comment, but they have been since. And this was updated on July 19th. Almost 6 years after the disappearance of 18-year-old Karena McClerkin, police have now arrested a man who they believe was involved in the teenager's death. Flint Vincent Farmer, 56, of Kokomo, is now facing a charge of murder, a level 1 felony, for his alleged involvement in the case. According to court documents, he is currently being held without bond at the Howard County Jail. Per a probable cause affidavit filed through Howard County Superior Court 2, loved ones say they dropped Mcclurkin off at an apartment in the 1000 block of South Washington Street, one associated with Farmer, on October 11th of 2016. The exact relationship between Farmer and Mcclurkin was not detailed in the court records. Mcclurkin was reported missing 2 days later. Heavily redacted court documents released Tuesday morning pieced together the initial days and hours following Mcclurkin's disappearance. About a week after Mcclurkin was reported missing, an unidentified man told authorities that Farmer and Mcclurkin spent time at the man's apartment on October 11, 2016, court documents indicated. Farmer and Mcclurkin then left together, according to the man's interviews as highlighted in the affidavit, and he believed they were going back to Farmer's apartment. Around 10 p.m. the same night, per court documents, Farmer and Mcclurkin were seen on surveillance footage at Village Pantry near the intersection of Markland Avenue and Washington Street, where they spent about 30 minutes before eventually leaving. Okay, let me finish this up. Another unidentified individual also told police they witnessed Mcclurkin with Farmer that evening and possibly even inside his apartment, court documents noted. One person told police she believed she saw a person covered up and lying on Farmer's floor. Farmer reportedly denied the allegation that Mcclurkin was inside his apartment when police went to visit with him shortly after Mcclurkin was declared missing, court documents indicated. Police were given permission to look inside Farmer's apartment at that time, but Mcclurkin was not found. Then in July of 2018, investigators began reviewing phone call records that dated back to November of 2016, when Farmer was in the Howard County Jail on an unrelated case. I guarantee this was like a data analyst that put all this together. Anyway. During one phone call highlighted in the affidavit, authorities stated that Farmer sounded nervous and scared, telling the police on the other end of the phone line that they are trying to get him for everything and that the whole world is going crazy. Farmer also reportedly stated that everything was about to get real ugly. Over the next 3 years, detectives continue to speak with witnesses and comb through any additional evidence related to Mcclurkin's disappearance. Then in August of 2021, police obtained additional information in connection to the case, though they have not publicly stated what that information is. Much of that information is also redacted. I got to get some chapstick on. Out of the probable cause affidavit. But 2 witness statements provided to police did detail what was referred to as a struggle or a fight coming from Farmer's apartment on the night of October 11th of 2016. Those 2 individuals also told police they heard what sounded like a person gasping or whimpering. It was perhaps the additional information that led authorities back to the apartment last month, where they were searching a detached garage on the property for any evidence related to the case. During that search, per court documents, luminol was used, which is a water-based solution capable of detecting blood that has been diluted up to 10,000 times. Results of luminol tests revealed the presence of blood on the floor just inside the walk-through service door of the detached garage, court documents indicated, as well as in 3 other areas. Those samples were collected and provided to the Indiana State Police Lab for additional testing, and it wasn't made clear if the affidavit whether those results have come back yet. For nearly 6 years now, Mcclurkin's family and friends have been left wondering what happened the night they say the teenager was dropped off at Farmer's apartment, and there are still pieces of the case investigators haven't publicly released. However, news of Farmer's arrest brings them one step closer, according to Mcclurkin's sister, Atia. For years, I've been wanting nothing more, she told the Tribune on Monday night. It's not the news we want to hear, but at least we are on track to bringing Karena home. This was all so unexpected. I thought this had a video. During a press conference inside City Hall on Wednesday morning, investigators with the Kokomo Police Department announced they have moved one step forward in solving the case of Karena McClerkin, an 18-year-old Kokomo woman who's been missing since October of 2016. Using what they called additional information that was presented to KPD in the fall of 2021, police arrested 56-year-old Kokomo resident Flint Vincent Farmer. Oh, is this the video? No, it's just a picture. I'll find it. Now investigators are also focusing on skeletal remains that were located Tuesday evening in rural Miami County. In KPD Chief Doug Stout's statement Wednesday, the officer did not indicate what led authorities to search that particular area of Miami County for possible remains, but he did note that those remains have since been removed. They were transported to Fort Wayne for investigation by a forensic pathologist so proper identification can be obtained. As you can imagine, we are all very hopeful in the identification process and hope to be able to come to a conclusion in this investigation for all of the family and friends who have been grieving since October of 2016. Stout also took a moment Wednesday to address his fellow law enforcement officers. Of course they did. They always do that. I'm not reading it. We would like to personally, no. But Stout also warned the public about the dangers of believing everything you read in regard to the Mcclurkin case, particularly if it's on social media. But most of the social media posts have not been truthful, he said, and have greatly hindered this investigation and the investigative efforts along the way. You can note in this picture, she is front row on the left. And this, let's just see who's all here. Here. That didn't let Gerry know what she was about to hear. Cool. So sad. But while police said Monday's arrest and subsequent discovery of remains is a major step in the investigation, many of Mcclurkin's family members were visibly frustrated during and after Wednesday's press conference. Because for many of them, including the teen's paternal grandmother, Gerry Mcclurkin, news of the arrest was over 5 years too late. After Wednesday's press conference ended, Gerry Mcclurkin stood outside City Hall for several minutes and adamantly voiced some of her own frustrations towards nearby police officers. "You took an oath to protect," she yelled, as a group of officers gathered a few feet away and a few more stood inside. "You let Farmer walk the streets, get high, and have fun. All the F lies you all have F told. You don't know the pain. You do not understand the effing pain. I hope nobody feels it. This is horrible." Now, mind you, they did not call her son because the night before he was on, and it was late. It was like around midnight. He was commenting on "It's a Crime and Shame" along with her family, the Mcclurkin side, and like family members and Gerry, that side of the family. And they were like, "No, we haven't heard," because people were trying to tell them in a chat and on Facebook that they had found Karina's body. And they, as they should, were like, no, we have not. We would get a call. We would have got a call. You didn't get a call. Didn't get a call. And so he did find out about his daughter after the press conference when Karina's grandmother, Gerry, called him to tell him. Speaking with the Tribune a few minutes later, Gerry McClurkin said she just feels like local law enforcement doesn't really care about her family situation. The many of the same details the family presented to police years ago is just now publicly coming to light. That is what has led to a lot of anger, she added. The police couldn't find her when they knew who killed her. They knew in 2016. They went to my son and said, Flint Farmer killed your daughter. They told my son that. They told me that. They told us his name. Gerry McClerkin's friend, Andrea Glassburn, said she's been standing alongside the family since the very beginning of the investigation. Quote, I guess we pretty much a lot of this is that we took a lot of this stuff to the police department in the very beginning, and Gerry, got calls several names, Glassburn said. It's been hard, especially going through all that we are. Every day is up and down with her because she just wants to find Karina. I think everyone just wants to see justice served and get him off the streets so that he can't hurt anybody else. And though it'll take some time before the skeletal remains will be positively identified, Karena McClerkin's family friend, Trista Jackson, said she personally won't stop fighting until there is justice for Karina. We've protested in blistering heat, the freezing cold, she said. We've had signs marching back and forth past his residence at times. We were in danger, but still risked our own selves to put out there because that's how much it means to the family to bring her home. We just want justice. If I have to release more balloons and make more signs and attend more press conference to get that, then I'm going to do it. We just want Karina to be home, Jackson added. We just want her to be home so we can put her to rest. It'll just probably immediately start playing. Hold on.
Would you be a good human and let me know where my daughter...
This is July 20th of 2022. Okay. Would you be a good human and let me know? That's what he just said.
Rest, so that her siblings, all her siblings, can have peace. Be a good human and show us or tell us where her remains lie. We can all move forward.
I want to keep her name out there in case someone will come forward with the truth. That's all I've tried to do, was keep Karina's name out there.
According to her grandma, she had a phone conversation with someone saying Mcclurkin stole money from Farmer, and a witness told investigators they were both said to be involved in Xanax deals. Authorities have said that there could be more arrests to come. Hopefully, those details and many more will come later this morning at that news conference, and we'll also be streaming it on our website. Scott?
Everything.
On Prime Crime.
Yeah, that guy's voice. Prime Crime. I've really tried to watch that show on it's on Peacock, and I just can't get over that guy's voice. Where did I go? Oh, it's the same one. We're going to go back in just a little of I want you to hear Miss Gerry from here. So I hope you guys don't mind. Again, I'm just playing like a little piece of it, and there is so much good content on this channel and in this episode alone, and then all of the other episodes. So please go like, share, subscribe to It's a Criming Shame. And I will post the link one more time. Hey, Otto Man, how are you? Okay.
Can you do me a favor if you have it in you? Can you tell us here on the channel about who Karena was? What kind of person, what kind of heart?
What? About who Karena was as a person.
Karena was as a person, her heart. Like, we know that the Karena
that we knew, she was gullible. Karena was a gullible girl. You could tell her the sky was purple. She'd say, "Yeah, it is." She was just gullible. She was a kid. She just turned 18. Her birthday was a day after mine. She had just turned 18. Wanted to fill out paperwork to get clean. And when she was young, she was just, like her dad said, you knew when Karena walked in the room, she'd either make you laugh or joke or just say, "Go ahead, I'll Karena, get out of here." If you put her and her sister in the room to this day, and her little sister, you hear them giggling and laughing like little kids. That's all they ever did. She was a beautiful soul. She was a beautiful young lady, and she told me that she had met your father, or uncle, sorry, and she told me that he would give her anything that he wanted, and I took her hand, and I told her, "ReRe, you don't have to go this route. You can come and move in with Mama, and I'll help you get back in school. I'm not rich. I'll help you get back in school. I'll help you get a car. I'll help you get into an apartment." And the last thing I heard my granddaughter tell me while she was holding my hand was, "I'll be okay, y'all."
So sorry, Gerry.
As I heard her speak.
Sorry, what was the last thing you said, Gerry?
Pardon me?
What was the last thing you said there?
The last words I heard Karena speak was, "I'll be okay, Grandma."
Yeah.
But she's not.
Gerry, somebody in the chat feels like they have a prophetic thought for you.
No. Nope. Okay. There's one more little clip I wanted to play for you guys, and I'm just like struggling to find it. I guess it can be here.
This morning, a Kokomo family is hoping for answers in the case of their missing loved one, 18-year-old Karena McClerkin.
She's been gone for more than 5 years, and happening today, police are holding a news conference. They're going to give an update on a recent arrest in the case. Our Eric Pointer joins us now in the studio, explaining what the family's hoping to learn. Eric?
Yeah, so this man, 57, according to court documents, investigators found blood stains in Farmer's garage, but they didn't say if they were Mcclurkin's. Documents also revealed phone calls Farmer made while in prison on drug dealing charges also link him to the case. One of the calls made by Farmer threatened a woman, with farmers saying they would not find a body. And
Did I not copy it? Yes, I didn't. Okay, well, we're going to go back over to the slideshow and read over this probable cause. Sunny Justice from It's a Crime and Shame sent it to me, and I did see it again on Facebook, and I cannot remember the gentleman's name who shared it. But again, it is highly redacted and very blurry and hard to read. But let's get through it. First, let me check in with the chat and see how everybody is. Just make sure I remember to share my screen again. But yeah, I hope everyone is well tonight. And let's see some comments. Oh, I missed a lot. Thanks. The Stan. Yeah, go ahead and hit the like. Daisy, hello. How are you? Oh, thank you, Chaotic, so much for sharing the links. You're awesome. And definitely go and subscribe to her channel because she lets me come on all the time. And then sometimes we do Slim You casts, and then we're on both channels at the same time. So definitely go subscribe to her. She's awesome and a great person to boot. And It's Crime and Shame. She got support with Steffa. Definitely go and check her out. I was the other night, and she's really good. So we want to try to build up the good ones, you know. The Stan, she got him too. Good job. East Coast. So you're probably doing all right as far as sleepy time. Facebook page. Wow, you got it all. Hey, Lake, how are you? I hope you're well. My Facebook group. I need to get better about putting the stuff in there. I've been trying. Oh, great, Grandma Sherry. Thank you. Yes, Arctic Fox True Crime for sure. It's very sad. Lipsha, hey Lips, how are you? I hope you're doing good. Aspen Connor, he's got his own channel too. I think he's kind of does he put anything on there? I'm not sure yet. Yeah, of course. Hey Dana, how are you doing? I hope you're well. Everybody's so sweet. Aw, cute. Yes, for sure. Good deal. Tips are what usually solves cases. This is maddening. Yeah. Yes. Do not do not give to that GoFundMe. Yeah, just don't. Wait for something else. So, like I stated the other night, I find it to be, this is like, it's maddening. And I can understand Miss Gerry's frustration. When you have a biological mother that just didn't do anything as far as searching for her daughter, introduced her to the man that killed her, and did not have the decency to even call her child's father, Karina's father, James, to let him know that his daughter had been discovered and that the remains had been formally identified as Karina. She didn't have the decency to do that. And so let's support the people that when it comes out, that like for what they're going to need for this next phase of this case. Let's pool our money to put towards something for them. And they're going to need it. They really are. And you just saw what I read. You can't, how much money. I was watching that Adventures with Purpose, and that's why I was, I thought I had time-stamped it, and where they had said in one part where she was just like, she had $8. I'm gonna cry again. She had $8 and she made them take it. That's all she had. Let's support them personally. Yes, she is. Hey, Dee, how are you? Good to have you here. Hello, Rayanne. How are you? And Randy. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot more. I just had grabbed some quickly. Yeah, he is. He's a really good one. I like him a lot. A lot. Yeah, Rayanne, Kristen Behind the Crime Door has some great coverage of the Flora 4 on her channel. It's really, really good. Man, my head is killing me. This ponytail is way too high and way too tight. See what it looks like. Take that out. Whew, probably a big frizz ball. But it's just killing my head. Can't take it. So just get to see whatever happens here. I don't even know. I need to cover my gray. Oh, man, it hurts. Oh, what I was thinking. I can never wear ponytail holders for very long. I always get a headache, so I try not to. Okay. Oh, Beholder, thank you so much. Yeah, big squeeze her and I was crying. No, I mean, I am proud of my tears. It's just that sometimes I feel like they're not appropriate because they're not. This isn't about me. It's about Karena and her family and her loved ones. So that's why I apologize when I get choked up and cry. This lady needs a doggy. I have one. I don't know if you were talking to me. Oh my goodness, look at this. Sending you a chaotic hug, Whole Truth. Not many get those. I'll give you one of these and you'll hate it. Oh. Hello, blind squirrel. Glad you're here. Oh, I'm sorry, Kaleidoscope. You got a big heart. Oh, thank you, Medicine Man. Yeah, I think that more arrests are definitely. I mean, they said so. So let's. I was gonna check my case tonight under the prosecutor and see. Yeah, it's pretty bad, right? It was good. Just putting through. Great friends to boot. Yeah, I get it now. Yeah, I'm hoping that that happens and but I understand wanting to hold off. She definitely does. Oh, hurts. She's probably gone. She's gonna be like, I'm gonna make her watch this. I'm gonna send her this time stamped. First time watching. Very good. I missed that comment. Oh. Maybe I haven't got it yet. Oh, awesome. Glad you're here. I agree. I totally agree. The mother does not. I can't even imagine doing that to anyone. Just and it seems so intentional. I think that was the main thing. And oh yeah, I was gonna find the press conference. Hold on.
Present a group of men and women.
It's so low. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it. Let me try to look for a different one.
made a commitment to the citizen.
That's a little bit better. I will forward it past all their patting on the back of themselves.
Time of the initial report. Reported that she had been missing since in order to protect the integrity announcement in order
Okay, got it pulled up.
to protect the integrity of this ongoing investigation. On October 13th, 2016, the Kokomo Police Department began a missing persons case. The family of 18-year-old Karena McClerkin reported that she had been missing since October 11th of 2016. The subsequent investigation revealed that Karena was last seen at a residence in the 1000 block of South Washington Street here in Kokomo. Since the time of the initial report, investigators of this department have continually followed up on every piece of information and tip that had been received, and we will continue to do so. In the fall of 2021, investigators received additional information about Karena's disappearance, as well as the events that took place the following day. After receiving this additional information, the Kokomo Police Department came up with a plan to try to further the investigation by generating additional information. We requested the assistance from the Indiana State Police and all of their available resources. The partnership of resources involved in this investigation is what ultimately has brought us here today to be able to stand before you and announce that the arrest has been made in reference to the Karena McClerkin case. The case was presented to the Howard County Prosecutor's Office for review. On July 18th, 2022, a warrant was issued for 57-year-old Flint Vincent Farmer of Kokomo for one count of murder. On the same day, at approximately 1 p.m., Kokomo police arrested Flint Farmer at a residence in the 600 block of South Purdom Street here in Kokomo. Additional arrests are anticipated. On July 19th, 2022, the ongoing investigation led investigators to a rural area in Miami County. As a result, investigators of the Kokomo Police Department, Indiana State Police, Howard County Coroner's Office, and the Miami County Coroner's Office located skeletal remains. Upon locating the remains, the Kokomo Police Department immediately notified Marlena Smith, the mother of Karena McClerkin. The remains that were located have been removed from the location and transported to Fort Wayne for further investigation by a forensic pathologist and to be positively identified. As you can imagine, we're all very hopeful in the identification process and hope to be able to come to a conclusion in this ongoing investigation for all the family and friends who have been grieving since 2016. This investigation has been an agency effort, so I would like to personally thank all of the dedicated men and women of the Kokomo Police Department, past and present, sworn and non-sworn, who have directly or indirectly participated throughout the course of this ongoing investigation. Excuse me. We also appreciate all of the public's tips and information that we have received as it pertains to this case. I respectfully request the public refrain from posting information about this case on social media. Most of the past social media posts have not been truthful and have greatly hindered this investigation and the investigative efforts along the way. Again, due to the sensitive nature of this investigation, the Kokomo Police Department will not be providing any additional details at this time. We will be providing additional details and updates when they become available. Anyone who may have additional information about this case is asked to contact Lieutenant Richard Benzinger at 765-456-7324 or the Kokomo Police Department hotline at 765-456-7017. You may also qualify for cash reward by calling the Central Indiana Crime Stoppers at 1-800-262-TIPS with your anonymous tip. Anonymous tips can also be provided via text message to the number 847-411 and begin the text message with the keyword tip KPD. TIP KPD. Citizens can download the Kokomo app free on their smartphone through the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store. As always, all defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Thank you for coming.
Well, they cut it off. But yeah, she had to sit there.
This is Dr. Grande.
Oh, Lord.
Today's question is...
Sorry, Dr. Grande. I love you. I would love to interview him. But yeah, she, as you saw, like she had to sit there on the front row and hear that. She had to hear that right there. They have not been formally identified by DNA, but surely they have, it said skeletal remains, but if she wore clothes or had her glasses, say, or a piece of jewelry, something that would identify her as far as like the clothing she had on, they seem to have that stayed consistent throughout all of the news media, by her hair, things like that. They would be able to informally identify her and then hold a press conference. I've seen that done in many other cases. And so they're usually pretty confident that it is the victim. And then they just, in this case, it was Karena. Then they wait for the DNA to come out to formally say yes or no. But it better be. Oh, boy. Yeah. I hear you. And welcome, Grizz. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Okay, so now we're going to go and take a look at this affidavit. For October 13th, 2016. Let me pull it up here so I can see it better. October 13th, 2016, Marlena Smith reported her daughter, Karena McClerkin, as a missing person. Marlena advised officers she last saw Karena on October 11th of 2016. On October 14th of 2016, Marlena advised officers that Karena may be in danger and possibly with Flint Vincent Farmer at 1039 South Washington, Kokomo, Indiana. Officers responded to 1039 South Washington and contacted Flint Vincent Farmer. Flint Vincent Farmer allowed officers into search for Karena, and she was not located in the apartment. Flint told officers that he saw Karena near the alley that day, but she never came in his apartment. Flint told officers Karena was with a female in a white car and wanted money, but he turned her away. A portion was redacted, was interviewed, and she advised that she drove Karena to Flint's home on October 11th of 2016. Redacted told officers that she waited in the alley after about 15 minutes of waiting. Karena returned, giving her a thumbs up that she was okay. Redacted said the purpose was to drop Karena off to stay at Flint's residence on this night. On October 17th of 2016 at approximately 9:45 p.m., Sergeant John Webster received a call from Marlena Smith regarding her daughter's missing persons report. She reported that she just recorded a phone conversation with redacted. Reports that Karena redacted. She reports that Flint passed out and Karena got into Flint's safe, stealing approximately $600 from the safe. Marlena advised that she recorded this phone conversation. On October 19th of 2016, Sergeant Webster met with Redacted in reference to obtaining a statement from him. Redacted advised that Redacted and Redacted again residents on October 11th, 2016, Redacted again stated that he was hanging out with with Flint between the times of 5 to 2 a.m. Let's just say blank. Redacted is a little long. Reports that Karena, the missing girl, was also present. So at a redacted residence on October 11, 2016, someone stated that he was hanging out with Karena, the missing girl, who also with blank. So wait, hanging out with blank and Flint between the times of 5 to 2 a.m. Blank reports that Karena, the missing girl, was also present. He describes Karena as a biracial female wearing black shoes, dark or black in colored jeans with holes, possibly wearing a muscle shirt, a hoodie, and her hair was pulled back. Blank stated she came to the residence at about 8 p.m. Sergeant Webster showed him a photograph of Karena, and he confirmed that this was the female he had seen. Blank reported that Flint and Karena left the blank apartment, eventually going over to Flint's apartment. Blank believes that they went over to Blank's and goes on to report that she left the apartment shortly after blank. Further reports that they ordered pizza from Jim's Pizza located on Home Avenue. He also stated later that night that Flint bought over $60 worth of food that included 4 strombolis and a supreme pizza around 10 p.m. He further states that Karena had returned to blank and he overheard Karena talking to Flint, stating that she was afraid and wanted to stay with him. Blank reported that Flint agreed and they both eventually returned to Farmer's apartment. His apartment is located on the south side of the first floor. Blank reported leaving blank apartment around, and then it just stops. On November 1st, 2016, Detective Banish interviewed blank and advised that on Tuesday, October 11th, between 10:30 p.m. and 11 p.m., blank met with Flint and Karena at the Village Pantry located on Washington Street and Markland Avenue. Blank stated that blank and blank sold Flint Farmer some Xanax. Blank stated that Flint Farmer and Karena blank stated that Flint Farmer went into the Village Pantry to use the ATM because he needed to get money to pay them. Blank also advised that the ATM did not work at Village Pantry, so Flint walked to the Speedway across the street and used the ATM. Blank stated that Flint returned to Village Pantry and paid blank for the drugs. Blank also stated that he put gas in blank and went into the store with Flint and Karena. Blank, he watched Flint purchase a large amount of food, which totaled approximately $50. He stated that Flint purchased sandwiches, food, frozen pizzas, drinks, and candy. Blank provided the statements independent of one another's presence. That's good. Detective Benush reviewed the cameras at the village pantry. The time step on the camera was off by 14 hours. Detective Cat was also present while they viewed and obtained copies of the video. The video confirms that both Blank stated Flint and Karena were at the village pantry at approximately 10 p.m. October 11th of 2016. During the time, Flint is observed going across the street towards the Speedway gas station. He returns and Flint, Karena, and Blank entered the store. Flint makes a purchase of what appears to be several sandwiches and other food items. They all three leave the store at approximately 10:32 p.m. Detective Cat obtained copies of this video. Detective Benush also confirmed by the Speedway gas station video that Flint did enter the store and use the ATM. Copies of the video surveillance is being maintained by KPD under Blank. On February 15th of 2017, Sergeant John Webster and Captain Benush had another opportunity to speak to Blank at the police station. They asked Blank again if Blank remembered Karena over at her residence on October 11th, 2016. She advised that she remembered seeing her only once in her apartment. She was asked if she remembered going into the kitchen area with Flint and Karena to take some drugs. She denied that happened. She advised that this time that she saw a person covered up and lying on Flint's floor. During the morning hours of October 12th of 2016, a good portion is redacted here. On July 11, 2018, Sergeant Webster began reviewing phone calls made by Flint Vincent Farmer while he was incarcerated in the Howard County Jail dating back to November of 2016. The calls were from November 12, 2016 to November 18th. On one call, Flint called Blank. During the call, Flint Farmer sounds nervous and scared, telling Blank that they are really hammering him. Flint tells Blank to turn on the news because he believes that they found the body of the missing girl. Flint then says that they are trying to get him for everything. Flint goes on and says that they are making me out, then pauses and says that the whole world is going crazy. Flint goes on telling Blank that he needs to get a hold of Blank and brace himself, and it's about to get really ugly. Flint called Blank November 18, 2016. During this call, Flint Farmer told Blank to keep checking Blank and make sure Blank is okay. Flint Farmer told Blank to tell Blank to stay away from the apartment because they found that girl and they are going to try to do something crazy to try to hang him up. Farmer stating that and then I did try that part was cut off. I thought I had done it and I tried it several times and it was just cut off. I can't really read it, so we're just going to skip ahead. Flint stating that she was afraid and that she wanted to stay with him. Blank reported that Flint Vincent Farmer agreed and they both eventually returned to Farmer's apartment. His apartment is located on the south side of the first floor. Reported leaving Blank's apartment around 2 a.m. Before he left, he and Blank were sitting on the couch in Blank's apartment. His back was against an interior wall that was shared with Flint's apartment. He stated he heard what he thought were sounds that resembled people wrestling coming from Flint Farmer's apartment. He reported that he told Blank to go check on the girl because he thought something happened to her. He stated that Blank told him that Flint was crushing Xanax bars. Blank provided the same information as Blank, but added she heard what she described as a female's voice moaning like she was being hurt. She described this noise was coming from Flint Vincent Farmer's home. Where was I? Later that day, Sergeant Webster went to 1039 South Washington to speak to Flint. He exited his apartment and again denied Karena ever entering his apartment. He also stated he never ordered pizzas that night. Sergeant Webster had already confirmed with Jim's Pizza that an order was placed and delivered that night. Sergeant Webster then contacted Blank, and they did not remember Karena coming inside the apartment, and Blank stated he saw her at the side of the house near a garage. They did admit to getting pizza that night from Jim's. Sergeant Webster reviewed the phone records for Karena McClerkin. The records show that the last phone conversation between Karena and Flint occurred on October 11th at 22:14. 100 hours. That she sold peach and color Xanax pills to Flint in the early evening hours of October 10th or 11th. Blank stated that Karena was with Flint during this transaction. This drug deal occurred at the parking lot of the Village Pantry located at Markland and Washington Street. Said that Blank had known Flint since the summer of 2016 and that Blank has known Karena, her mother and grandmother, for some time. Blank reported that Blank sold too many of her pills to Flint, and Blank eventually called him back during the early morning hours to purchase some of the Xanax back that Blank had sold to him. He advised that Flint agreed to sell them back to him and drove to his apartment located on Washington Street. He reported that he knocked on the front door to his apartment. Karena came to the front door very irate and asked her now, so I guess it's not a him. What do you effing want? Told Karena that Blank was there to buy back some of Blank Xanax. According to Blank, Flint stated that he was sorry because they didn't have any Xanax to sell back. Blank told Sergeant Webster that Flint was standing behind Karena. Blank advised that Karena's hair was pulled back and that she was wearing shorts. Blank advised that Karena was very upset. On November 1st, 2016, Detective Benush interviewed somebody. Blank advised that on Tuesday, October 11th, between 10:30 and 11, Blank met with Flint Farmer and Karena McClerkin at the Village Pantry located at Washington Street and Markland Avenue. Stated that Blank and Blank sold Flint something. Flint called Blank November 18th, 2016. During that call, Flint Farmer told Blank to keep checking and to make sure Blank was okay. I feel like I already read that. Yeah, I did. Told her to keep her Blank, and he said that Flint told her to keep her effing mouth shut about what she saw. Flint Farmer also told Blank that they would not find a body. Blank did say that it was late at night, and at this point, Blank again said that Flint told her to keep her mouth shut or she will end up with her, referring to Karena, with her. She will end up with her. She asked Flint what he meant by that, and it's all redacted. On November 18, 2016, Flint Farmer made several phone calls while he was incarcerated at the Howard County Jail. 3 of the calls were to Blank, Vincent Farmer, and I think they found the body of that girl, but they're really trying to get me for everything. He refers to it being on the news and tells him to watch the news and see what they are saying. He also tells Blank, you need to get a hold of Blank and brace yourself, okay? It's getting ready to get real ugly. Flint then calls Blank, asked her to check up on Blank. He tells Blank to have him stay away from the apartment because they found that girl and they're going to try to do something crazy. I know they are. They're going to try to hang hang me up. So I don't want him involved. Flint calls his blank. They have a lengthy conversation, and then that's it. And it's all redacted. You can see where there's like a big blank space here. I just try to cut out some of the blank spaces. On June 30th, 2022, Alicia Kastler and the affiant met with a representative from CRM Properties at 1039 Washington Street in Kokomo, Indiana. Luminol was used to check the detached garage for any evidence that may be related to this case. Luminol is a water-based solution capable of detecting blood that has been diluted up to 10,000 times. Once it comes into contact with blood, it reacts by causing the blood to fluoresce a pale blue color. This chemical has long been used by forensic investigators to search for and document imperceptible trace amounts of blood. A positive luminol test was indicated on the floor just inside the walk-through service door. 3 areas were noted and samples were collected. Those samples have been provided to the Indiana State Police Lab for additional testing. On July 8th, 2022, Blank told investigators she and Karena were very close. She advised Blank and Karena talked every day and would always know where each other were at blank at. She also stated that Karena often slept in the same bed with her. Since October of 2016, she has not received any information from Karena that would give her hope that Karena is still alive. She believes Karena is deceased. The affiant now requests a warrant for Flint Vincent Farmer for murder in violation of Indiana Code 3542-21. I affirm under penalties for perjury that the foregoing representation is true. Digitally signed by Benzinger. Maybe Richard J. something. Yeah. Benzinger. And that's it. Aspen. I'm glad you're here, Deb. How are ya? Were you guys live tonight? I didn't get any notification. Of course, I didn't check it either, so that could be it. I wanted to check for one more. Okay, good. You guys could see that. Okay, phew. Yeah. Let me stop share for a second. Oh my Lord, did I scare you guys half to death? My eyeballs look like they're about popping out of my head. Where is it? Literally just had it. Just checking my case. Oh boy. No, I'm not really seeing anything on my case as far as like if they've charged anyone else. I'm just not told. Well, that's weird. There is Elvis Presley's daughter on here. What day was the press conference on? Yeah, there's a lot of people with warrants. Yeah, it was on Wednesday. I just don't know what day Wednesday was. Day of the week. I don't even know what the day is. Man, I'm terrible with dates. Well, I'm not seeing anything. But I wanted to close with some just some thoughts. Like I just speaking from my observations when and I'm not speaking for Cheryl or Ginger or any of Nicole or Ray's family. But there were some similarities in the fact that there was the line of communication was not good between not necessarily law enforcement, but more so like the prosecutor's office. And there was just this like for, let's see, 2019 until, well, it's still going on now because we're in appeals. There was this pretty much the whole time. Towards the end, it got a lot better. And, but in those first, few years, it was just this discord between the family, and then obviously still Ray's. They get nothing from law enforcement, and they're the sweetest, kindest people that have not been pushy like I would be. And not that they should be, but just like I would be more like Gerry, and I know that there was members of Nicole Bowen's family that didn't necessarily agree on whether you get loud and you get in their face or whether you take a more demure approach. Because they just were not getting informed of, I mean, they didn't get even informed when court dates were canceled, and they would drive all the way there to everyone would take off work, and that family showed up. They showed up to everything. And so it was just really, really hard to watch them go through that. And they were supposed to have a victim's advocate, and they just really didn't have one until towards the end when it was starting to be the trials and things. But there were so many hearings and plea deals because there was 5 perpetrators, and it was just, I hope that it doesn't need to be that way. I hope that, and then so many times when, like, James and Gerry, I mean, guys saw all that I read, and I wanted to do that on purpose to show you just a glimpse, just a little bit of what these families have been doing. And Gerry and her son and their children and cousins have been working their ass off for almost 6 years now. And they go out as all the time, literally all the time. They are out searching. They have gotten investigators. I know that I saw that Paul Holes weighed in on this case. They have gotten Adventures with Purpose, search teams, the CUE. They have taken out their own money from their 401ks. They have spent every dime that they have to get justice and to bring Karena home. And they have been really mistreated. I've seen some of the footage, and it was astonishing. And I know that, like, Gerry could probably be viewed as abrasive. And I hope that they will take the time to see it from her point of view, from her stance. Sometimes when we can put ourselves in someone else's shoes, then we can have more empathy towards their plight. And if that is at all possible, I hope that KPD and moving forward, the prosecutor's office will be able to find some kind of resolution for James's side of the family moving forward, and that they are properly informed. And I hope that they can get a victim's advocate. They should get one for free through the courts. It is in Indiana. You can look it up in the Indiana code. But I do hope that I've just seen the commonalities, and just I know that for Cheryl and Ginger and the other members of Nicole's family, it was just this constant fear of, like, are we going to miss something? Is there something today? How did you find out about this before us? Talking about me. And it was simply just like, I know where to look, and I would send them everything that I could find and how to get there. And, and it's not easy to do all that. And, they were just constantly anxious, and just didn't need to be that way. It didn't need to be that way. And I don't want that for James and Gerry moving forward. And I would like to see, even if it is eventually down the road, we raise money. I think that's something that hopefully they would be open to. I know that right now is not a good time, and we're not going to go down that avenue, but between us, and I think that it's something that we should definitely do. Good, Carol. Thank you. Yeah, they came out and they really did, they tried their best. They searched a lot of different places, and it's just really unfortunate, the breakdown of the relationship between law enforcement and Karena's dad's side of the family. And meanwhile, they're the contrast is they had her up on stage, the mother that hasn't done anything, and oh, of course they get along with her because she just doesn't even push or doesn't do anything. So there's that. And that's just my opinion. And, but it just seemed very spiteful to do that. And I mean, and I understand there is next of kin. And, I also understand that there isn't anyone involved in that case that probably doesn't know who Gerry and her family are, and I hope that that can be mended. And I had something, I'm going to read a little something that I found about that, and how that could happen. And then also I noticed, at times, not necessarily with I'm not speaking of Nicole Bowen's family, because they're they really didn't, you know. When Cheryl said, like, the way she wanted it, that's what everyone did. And they're a very respectful, awesome family. But I've seen it in other cases where the family, there ends up being like inner family like conflict, and because there's such a high stress situation, and then there ends up just being like, because they don't know how to deal with grief or stress, and then wanting other people to do what they want, and you know, and like there ends up being this like a rift that can form. And I'm not saying that that's happening. I literally have no idea, but I know that like in other cases, and then just of seeing that, it was mostly created because of this like fight or flight and like anxiousness. And then when it hits, I talked about this the other night, when it hits that like you're done, like there isn't anything there, you're not searching anymore. You got to remember, this is a family that goes out every weekend, every week, and they search. And now what are they going to do? You know, and now it's like you really have to grieve. You've staved it off, and while you've been missing your loved one, you've been busy trying to find them. And now that is gone. And it is like that poem, you know, that I read in the very beginning. And again, you know, of your mourning isn't just over. It's just starting, you know. And now they have that loneliness that will set in, and the depression and sadness of just, and then just like, what do I do? And then the fear, and it can really cause a lot of like hurt feelings, and especially with the way that KPD has reacted, and then the way that they, at least on Gerry's end of pushing so hard, of just wanting some help, and then not having people show up, and the hurt that has caused her for almost 6 years. And then all of a sudden people are coming out of woodwork, and I have to call myself out on that, you know. I am at fault, and I would like to work towards changing that, and I'm sorry. I truly am. I don't have anything more that I can say except I'm sorry. And I hope that I can help in any way that I can moving forward. And I think you guys are amazing. And I think that it's going to be such a hard time for them, and especially coming off of a 6-year adrenaline going and going and going and going. And I just want them to know that there's people out there that understand, and we can be those people together, because we're about ready to get some understanding. Okay. All right. Let me read about this one first. What does stress do to families? Every family reacts differently to stress, but some of the most common effects include arguments, fighting, and other poor communication skills, fatigue, health problems, and general exhaustion because of busy schedules, confusion, especially in children, about relationships with other family members, more dependence on food, alcohol, and other substances. Why doesn't anyone else seem stressed? They must be hiding it. Just as all families experience different effects of stress, they also deal with stress in different ways. Just a second. Oh, where was I? We've all seen children acting out at a busy grocery store or at a couple arguing over finances, but families can react in different ways. Some might stop communicating at all, while others communicate only by fighting. It's important to remember that your family is not alone. Today's family is dealing with busy schedules, high cost, and long to-do lists, all natural triggers for more stress. If your family gets stressed out, that's okay. The important thing is how you choose to handle the stress. Work together as a family to fight stress. Talk about your feelings. Keep the lines of communication open so that every family member feels comfortable voicing their feelings if they start to feel stressed out. If you think your kids might be getting overwhelmed by all their activities and events, ask them about it. Let them know it's okay if they need a break. Then take action. If you find yourself getting stressed out, do the same thing. Your behavior can set the tone for the rest of the family. When things get crazy, it might help to sit down and talk to your children about it. If they are old enough, and this is kind of like, I cannot find anything that was like specifically for like these situations, because it all just came back like, you know, I don't want to say, but like, just over like the George Floyd thing, and like ever since then, and just before that, really, so you can imagine all, like, it just was flooded with that, but I wasn't really getting anything that was like specific to what I'm like wanting to know, and that's really sad. There should be somewhere for like victims' families. So if anyone in the chat has anything, please send me a link for it. So get everyone involved once you've made your list of priorities. So it's basically of like bringing the family together and coming to a compromise. Compromises are so important in our lives, and not that you compromise to the point where it's a detriment to you, but there are always ways that we can meet people in the middle, and that's what I feel like with KPD and the prosecutor's office in this family is they can meet in the middle, and they can let things go and do a better job moving forward. And for the family, because this is on like family and stress, and like that is a great way to bring about, meeting everyone's needs, and everyone getting a voice is a good compromise. Learn to say no. It's not easy, but it makes a huge difference. Fewer activities on your calendar means more time to relax with your family. If you feel guilty about saying no, remember that saying no means you are putting your family first, and you can always feel good about that. Limit travel. On top of everything else, long trips can be more than your family can handle during especially stressful times like the holidays. If you still think it's important to see your family and friends, suggest your visit with them be later in the year. Okay. Spend smart. Financial pressure is another leading cause of family stress. Parents often go overboard in spending, especially, and end up neglecting the importance of quality time with their family. This year, make the switch. Concentrate more on how much time you are spending with your family instead of how much money you are spending on them. That is good for all of us to remember. Dealing with family dynamics while grieving. It's common for the loss of family member or loved one to disrupt the balance within a family. Disagreements are often inevitable at this time. When emotions run high, everyone is exhausted, and difficult decisions are needed to be made. And adding this volatile situation is the fact that everyone grieves differently and may be at varying stages of emotions, thus having feelings that conflict with others. The important thing to remember is that just about every family experiences some shift in dynamics surrounding the death of a family member or loved one. You are not alone. We created this ebook in hopes that you... there are many reasons why families struggle with changing dynamics after the death of a loved one. When a close relative dies, it's not only causes grief for individual family members, but it also affects how your family functions. Suddenly, roles change, people may behave out of character, opinions become strong, and rifts can rise up in the heat of emotions that may come out in ways not intended. Here is a look at several sources of family strife. Having an understanding of why things change can help you to spot signs of trouble before it arrives, and a little understanding can go a long way. Just between the two sides of the family again, and like in KPD, it can be, just that paragraph that I just read, it can all be managed and everyone can come to, a resolution. Unresolved issues. It is not uncommon for past grievances between family members to resurface following a death in the family. There may be underlying resentment between siblings who feel one took more than their share of responsibility in the care of the deceased, and that another should have been available to help more often. It could even go way back to childhood spat. Don't be surprised if these types of issues rise to the surface when emotions become elevated. That's a good one. Different ways of coping. Everyone grieves differently, and it's quite possible that although you are grieving the same loss, you are all coping with it in different ways and in different stages of your grief. This results in situations such as one person wanting to talk about it while another wants to avoid the subject. One person may be ready to go through a loved one's belongings while someone else needs more time. This difference often results in misunderstandings and arguments. Age, relationship, and role. The way in which people respond to death of a loved one can also depend upon things like their relationship with the deceased, their age, and the role they have in the family. Clearly, a wife or a son of a loved one will respond differently than a cousin or a close friend. In addition, someone elderly may have more shared experiences than someone younger. The oldest of siblings may feel a responsibility to take the reins, and so on. These different existing dynamics all have an impact on the way people grieve and can lead to angst among family members who don't take these differences into consideration. Heightened stress and emotions. Understandably, sorry, I made up a word there. Understandably, the days leading up to and following the death of a loved one are filled with complicated emotions and elevated levels of stress. People in this state tend to behave differently than normal and may even have trouble thinking rationally. Others may be struggling with survivor's guilt, unable to get over if only thoughts. And that was something that when I read this, because this isn't, this is coming from a place of like knowing when my nephew died, and it was sudden and it was suspicious and it was all of these things and it was just a mess and they were all falling apart. And like I was able to help them, and I did a lot of like the funeral planning and then just like being there and with them for quite a long period of time, day in and day out, and you just see all of these things that take place. And sometimes just like something like this can really help you to just like a short little read can just really change the dynamics of the way things go. And so that's a big part of why I wanted to share it, is because I've seen my family be there. And I feel like that if we had like there's so much, and I saw when I was watching It's a Crime and Shame and just how Gerry was feeling so guilty, and that's a big part of that if only thoughts. And those are dangerous thoughts. When emotions run high and stress levels rise, it can easily lead to problems. Too close for comfort. Immediately after a death, it usually a time when family members come together, which is often supportive and comforting, but can also be difficult. And it is not unusual for families, especially those who don't usually spend a lot of time together, to find the experience of sudden togetherness stressful. This can feed an already anxious situation and result in disagreements and arguments, especially when making decisions concerning the funeral or personal belongings. Considering the different sources that feed into family dynamics following a death, it is easy to see why there are often misunderstandings at each member of the family. As each member of the family adjusts to changes, deals with emotion, and grieves in his or her own way. We have found that these issues are almost always inevitable, but they don't have to tear your family apart. Here are some tips to help you get you and your family through this difficult time together. Respect each other's differences. It helps when family members who are at odds can take a step back and try to see the value in each other's choices or opinions. Maybe you can compromise, or maybe you will have to agree to disagree. Say in the case of Karina's parents, they may have to compromise and agree to disagree. Or maybe it is between just KPD and or other family members that are, I don't know. I just wanted to share this. Maybe you could compromise, and maybe you still have to agree to disagree. Either way, having a good understanding of where each is coming from can help to diffuse the situation and solve the problem. Focus on what's important. Even if you can't get on the same page, try to focus on what's the most important thing at hand, which is what your loved one would want. It's important to keep the big picture in mind to ensure you do not have any regrets, but instead happy memories. Find ways to restore control. There are some who, in their grief, seek any way they can to regain a sense of control. They may try to take over decisions, plan this was definitely me. Plan the funeral service without anyone's input. Oh, I didn't do that. Or immediately sort through belongings. This can obviously be upsetting to other family members, but understanding this need for control and finding other ways to restore it is key to avoiding this type of situation. Helping this family member channel energy into things that are helpful can nip this problem in the bud. Communicate kindly. While it can be difficult not to lash out when you are hurt or angry, you can keep conflicts from escalating from refraining from using you statements and using I statements instead. I was very hurt when you chose flowers without me is far less provoking than you shouldn't have chosen flowers without my input. You statements put people immediately on the defensive, while I statements make them aware of how their actions are affecting others. And this was a good one, I thought, in communicating with KPD and vice versa, as replacing the you statements with I feel. And then you're immediately like, because what you want to build is like that, like I said earlier, about seeing each other's sides, points of view. And forgiveness is a big one, and I can't imagine that that's going to be easy to do, but moving forward, it will make things a lot smoother, in my opinion. Make them aware of how their actions are affecting others and can help to stop offending behavior rather than start an argument over it. Keep in mind, you may be behaving in ways that are upsetting to others as well. Having kind conversations can help everyone stay calm and considerate to others. I thought this was really short, but okay. Find it in your heart to forgive. Grief can make people behave in uncharacteristic ways and sometimes do things they regret later. It's important to keep this in mind, and keep in mind that they've been grieving for almost 6 years, and it's just been drawn out. and cut family members a little slack. Give them the benefit of the doubt that their poor behavior was due to a difficult time you were all going through, and you shouldn't override years of decent behavior and happy memories you shared throughout your relationship. All too often, family members dwell on the conflicting issues that come up when dealing with a death and allow them to have a long-term effect on their family. There is only one time to say goodbye to your loved one. You want to savor this time together, not regret it. Make a plan. Yes, couldn't agree more. This is another big reason why it's so important to pre-plan a funeral. Knowing wishes ahead of time and having decisions already made means there are no questions to answer and issues to resolve or different viewpoints. And I kind of touched on this about making a family plan, and how are we as a family going to work together with KPD and each other in order to move forward in the judicial system with the least amount. It's going to be grueling. It's going to be heartbreaking. But how can we move into this phase of Karina's murder with the least unscathed, and relieving that stress of like family dynamics and the poor relationship between law enforcement and the family would go a hell of a long way, a hell of a long way. And so those are things that, like, have a meeting and, like, I hope that it is KPD that extends that olive branch. And I hope that they can just understand that people, like, they should, of taking a course on this or something along the way of, like, understanding grief from multiple different personalities, because you have different all people have the world is made up of all kinds of kinds. And as a police officer, like, and especially an investigator, you need to be able to know that, like, just because it's not what you would do, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. Like, I took my daughter to the gun range today and we shot a bunch of bullets. Someone may think that is the stupidest thing they've ever heard, and then I am an irresponsible parent. And I would hear something like, having your toddler transition is irresponsible. I think that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard because their brains aren't developed enough. But you see what my point is that while I have an opinion on, transitioning into a different gender when you're really, really young is not healthy for a child's well-being, in my opinion. Neither is someone else would look at what I'm doing by taking my child to a gun range and teaching her how to shoot. In their opinion, that could be detrimental, like, and that could be the most horrible thing. And at some point you have to be like, well, I respect the fact that you're a parent on your own and with your own family, and you get to do that, and I get to do this. And we can both think that we're stupid till the end of time, and that's fine. It doesn't mean that we can no longer be friends. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we let these, like, differences of just all relationships, they become the be all end all, and we forget that there are other people out there that just do things differently, and it's perfectly fine. And I feel like a lot of times with law enforcement, if a family or a family member is grieving a way that they don't understand, they just want to immediately, like, whoa, and they want to, like, their reaction is not always positive, and it's not always healthy for them or that particular family member. And understanding those is the only way that you can get to a resolution. If you don't understand the problem, if you don't understand what you've done to get anywhere, then you don't know how to fix that problem. So you have to find understanding. And then from that understanding, then you've gained the knowledge in order to change something. And sometimes that can be as simple as just like, I promise that whatever has happened back here, whether you're involved or not, I think there's so many, like, I think a lot of problem is ego. Like, we all have ego, you know, and some people have a lot more than others, but it's a bravado. It's not, and sometimes we let our ego, our pride, and things like that keep us from being able to truly say, like, I'm sorry. And not that, because I'm sorry doesn't mean that you're taking accountability for something. If you don't say, it's a new investigator on the case and he didn't do all of these things to the family, right? But now he's inherited all of this, like, their pain, their anger, their discontent. And he hasn't done anything because he's just brand new. Okay. But like, how he reacts to that situation is, like, in that moment, in that, like, it literally forks off into all different kinds of ways, like an actual fork, not my fork. And they are the leader of how things are going to be determined. And all they can do is try their best. But if they approach it as I'm really sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry that you feel that way. You see that, like, I'm sorry you feel that way. And that made you feel that we were, and not being like, well, because that's automatically going to be like, whatever, you know, putting it off on someone else is not the answer. But, like, owning it in a way that still you can be true to yourself. Does that make sense? And, like, whomever it would be, like, I know they're probably not going to be listening to this, but maybe someone will share, like, this clip. And it's just like, let your pride go to the side. That rhymed. And extend that olive branch and be guided by a place of trying to understand. And not that you're apologizing for what you may have done, but you're apologizing for the way that this has made someone else feel, if that makes sense. And from that place, you can really get a lot of growth. Okay, I'm done talking. And I had one more. Oh, now I found that video. Okay. And this is just from response to victims of crime. It's from the IACP Law Enforcement Policy Center. And we have a blank page here, which is pretty typical. Modern policy response to victims of crimes. The purpose. So what is the purpose of this? Because this is published for law enforcement to read and to implement. Okay. As first responders, law enforcement personnel are uniquely positioned to provide trauma-informed care and support to victims of crime as required by law. These efforts can have both an immediate and long-term impact on the victim's emotional recovery for developing a sense of security and stability and potentially mitigating the traumatic effects of the crime. The purpose of this policy is to emphasize that an effective response to the needs of crime victims is an integral part of the law enforcement mission. I'm going to read that again. The purpose of this policy is to emphasize that an effective response to the needs of crime victims is an integral part of law enforcement missions. This essential function, performed by both sworn and civilian personnel, should address victims' needs by establishing a continuum of support and resources as victims progress through the various phases of the criminal justice process. Okay? And yes, they are still, so, well, I should read these. Policy. It is, agencies recognize and address the needs and the rights of crime victims during each contact. Support provides access to resources and assist victims as they continue to interact with the criminal justice system, and to act as a liaison to approach victim assistance and service agencies. Crime victim, a person who has been physically, financially, or emotionally injured due to the occurrence of a crime. Victims include individuals who have been direct targets of violence or property loss or damage, their family members, and people who experience emotional trauma as a result of witnessing such an incident. So family members is included in this, okay? Like, I think that a lot of them think, well, like, if we're getting justice for the victim and we're like solving the case, we can't be bothered with the other, second-hand victims, when really they're the only ones left. They're the true victims. The person has already been murdered, unless it's a rape case or a person has survived a attempted murder. The victims that are mostly damaged by this they're your primary now, in the case of murder. Trauma. Individuals' trauma results from an event, series of events, or a set of circumstances experienced by an individual or physically or emotionally harmful or threatening, and over which he or she perceives to have a lack of control. Trauma may have a lasting and adverse effects on the individual's function and mental, physical, social, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Trauma-informed approach. A program, organization, or system that realizes the widespread impact of trauma and understands potential paths for recovery. So, understands the widespread impact of trauma and understands potential paths for recovery, recognizes the signs and symptoms of trauma in individuals, and responds by fully integrating knowledge about trauma into policies, procedures, and practices, and seeks to actively resist re-traumatization. Vicarious trauma, the cumulative transformative effect of empathetic engagement with victims of crime and traumatic experience, may also be referred to as a compassion fatigue. Victim services, internal or external services offered through agencies, personnel, and outside providers specializing in working with crime victims. Victims of crime experience a variety of physical, psychological, and social needs that can be classified under 7 categories. So remember, we've already defined a crime victim. We know that that includes the family members of the victim of the crime. Safety, protection from perpetrators, and assistance in avoiding re-victimization. Support, assistance to enable participation in the criminal justice system process and repair of harm. Information, concise and useful information about victims' rights, criminal justice system processes, and available victim services. Accessibility to participate in the justice system process and to have availability for support services. So important. So freaking important. Continuity. Consistency in approaches and methods across agencies through all stages of the criminal justice process. Like, so very important. Voice. Opportunities to speak out and be heard on case processes and larger policy questions. Justice. Receiving the support necessary to heal and seeing that perpetrators are held accountable. Notice what's first. Support necessary to heal and seeing that perpetrators are held accountable. Here's the procedures. Initial response. When responding to calls for service involving crime victims, agencies, personnel, and shall immediately ascertain that the victims are at a safe location, emergency care, determine the need for and request additional medical services. That's really doesn't apply. Victims who are emotionally distraught should not be left alone. If appropriate, call them. To call a chaplain. I'm gonna kind of skim through some of these. I wish it went more into the interpersonal relationship skills and how to talk to people, but I thought it did, but not seeing it. Agency employees who have contact with the public in general, and victims in particular shall be familiar with governmental and community-based victim support and advocacy organization. The agency shall collaborate and provide reasonable assistance to such entities to the extent that it does not place the victim or others at risk, substantially interfere with an ongoing investigation or prosecution, or violate privacy laws or agency policy. A victim services reference directory with up-to-date contact information should be developed and made available to communications, administrative, patrol, investigative, and victim services personnel. There are victim services personnel out there. Where available, pamphlets regarding the rights of crime victims and area resources shall be made available to all crime victims. Okay, so they're not very good about that, okay? But if you look up in the state of Indiana in the code, it literally says, you just have to formally request. You have to put it in writing. Probably send it, an email is fine. To the prosecutor's office. At least that's the only information that I know about. And you just say, I would like to formally request a victim's advocate or a victim's, what was it just called here? Victim service personnel. Victim services personnel, and it's not a charge, it is not money. But then when there's too much and they're not doing their job, because I have seen that before too, do not hesitate to hire your own if you can afford it. And if you cannot, lean on the community, lean on me, lean on others that would readily help to fund that. And I'm not talking just a little bit. I think that if we work together, we could do. No, I mean, I doubt that, you never know. You never want to put a cap on something, but it would damn sure better be more than $370 some dollars. Anyways, also be sensitive to cultural needs of crime victims by providing materials in a language that the victims can comprehend and ensuring access to translator services. So employees shall complete training on providing assistance and services for victims of crime as a part of their initial orientation program. So maybe just the next time something comes up, be like, hey, did you complete your training? I would totally do that. On providing assistance and services to victims of crime. Yeah. Well, I'm a victim of crime, and it'll say it at least in Indiana, how we defined victim of crime. There it is. Leather copy. Oh, Carol, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I should. You think? Kind of think maybe. Yeah. So, just things I talked about earlier, and knowing that you are not putting them out for asking for the services that they are supposed to readily have available. Okay. But they will a lot of times they will make you feel like you are putting them out and that you are a thorn in their side. But that is simply not the case. You're literally these are your rights as a crime victim. Okay? So you're not asking for anything that is over the top. Don't let them gaslight you into making you feel or taking on that when they haven't put it on you, but you're putting that on yourself and feel guilty for something that is literally your right. No one asks to be murdered. No one asks to be the victim of a murder, be the family of a murder victim. No one asks for that. No one wants that. And, but these are things that you can't ask for, and they're supposed to readily make them available. But if they don't, do not feel like you are putting them out. I've seen this happen so many times. And it's very frustrating because it's just like, no, you're really not. You're just simply stating, like, I would formally like to request a victim advocate. And that is perfectly within your rights as a victim's of a crime. And don't let anyone or don't feel bad for making use of this. This is a service that I know Indiana provides. And so take advantage of it. And they can also help you work with those relationships in between law enforcement, the prosecutor's office, and so on. You know, the victim's advocate are specifically trained, or they're supposed to be, and they can literally help you to better have the communication and they can fill that gap and close the divide. And moving forward, something like that would just be invaluable, and it's something that you don't want to have to do midway through when you are literally at your wit's end and you're exhausted. You guys are already exhausted, and I implore the law enforcement that is involved in this case to really just think about how would you like to be treated, like, and put yourself in this family's shoes. This was an 18-year-old child in my opinion. I don't care. Like, she was literally 17 a month before. Not even a month before. That's the same age as my child, and she is a child. Like, is she mature and is she going to be ready for call? Absolutely. But she's still a child. She's still a minor, and I have to sign all kinds of stuff. And then, like Karena had literally just turned 18. She had her whole life ahead of her. Think about your child and how easy it is for us as humans to take one wrong turn, and we go down a path that we never would have saw and no one ever would have expected. And then all of a sudden, that's where we are in our life. Like with my kids, it was always important for me to, and I still do. They're just more grown now, and I don't have to do it a lot because I did it when they were little. But I gave them, like, everything was like their choice. Like, you don't have to obey me. Like, you don't have to clean your room. I can't force you to I can't physically force you to clean your room. I can just ask that you do it. And then if you decide not to, which is totally your choice, it's totally your choice. There will unfortunately be a consequence for that choice, because there's a consequence in real life. Every choice that you make has a consequence or a reward in this life that we all have, and we only get one of them. And so that's why teaching young children choices is really important. And it still couldn't do any good, like one surgery or one, like getting your tooth pulled. My daughter's had her tooth pulled, and it was like they prescribed her medicine, and every time it makes me nervous because you just never know. My youngest daughter had surgery, and thank the good Lord above that, like, once she was not in pain anymore, and I'd be like, do you want your medication? You have your pain medicine here if you want. No, I'm okay. Like, literally makes me so happy because I know that I wasn't that kid. And I had a surgery when I was like 14. I was, well, no, not surgery. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of my life, and I was in excruciating pain, and they had me on morphine and Dilaudid and you name it. I was taking it. My kidneys were shutting down, and I had a blood infection, I had septicemia. And it was extremely it was extremely painful, and I was just a kid. And then when I went home back then, they just gave you a huge bottle of, I don't know what it was, hydrocodone or something. And I was responsible for that bottle, and I just took all of them until there was no more. And then I was having these horrible symptoms. And I mean, I was so sick, and I didn't know. I was homeschooled, like I didn't really have like any kind of experience with any kind of substances whatsoever. Like, at that point in my life, like I had just started going to a not public school, but like a Christian school. And, boy, I learned the hard way what withdrawal is like. And it kept me away from using anything like that and because I still do have kidney problems and kidney stones and whatnot and other things. And I won't let them, like, put it in my chart, like, do not prescribe me more than a week or 2 at the most of any kind of narcotic pain medicine, because I don't trust myself. I don't ever want to end up addicted to an opiate again, because I was at 14 years old, not even knowing that that's what it was until way later in my life. And, but my dad had been like, well, where's that bottle? And I was like, well, they're gone. And then it like, oh, like what? And they were just literally, they felt terrible. And, I got through it, and then I moved on with my life, and I'm just telling you guys this because it can literally happen to anybody. And that little bit of just like ignorance, like I just didn't know what I didn't know. All I knew is they made me happy. I was chilling. I was able to be more social and outgoing, and I just was loving it. So I kept taking them. Why wouldn't you? Like when you're that young, you don't understand, because why? Your brain's not developed enough to. No one sets out to be a drug addict. No one sets out to be an alcoholic or to have some kind of substance abuse disease. No one sets out to do that. It's like a, what's that called? An unintended consequence of a choice that you make one day, and then it ends up wrecking your whole life. And don't think that you're above it, or don't think that your family's above it. No one's above it. Everybody is a choice away from going down a path of what you are looking down on and judging. Everyone is a choice away from that. Just know that. And on that note, I am going to shut my mouth. Oh, good, Aspen. Yeah, it was, like I said, I was 14 years old. Like, I mean, I didn't have a clue I was addicted. Had no clue. And I didn't really have a clue until I was like, I think it was 18 when I had my next, was it 18 when I had my next kidney? I had a kidney stone. I can't remember. It was sometime right around there. And then same medication. And it was like, no, 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 no. I am not, no way. I'm not going through that again. But I didn't understand that that's what it was yet until they gave me another bottle of it. And then it was like, whoa, I remember this. And then I remember the talk I had with my dad, and it was like, no, 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 no. Like, I have to be very responsible with this, because I don't ever want to feel like I did when those pills ran out. Miserable. Like, literally felt like my skin, I mean, and it was it was a bunch. It was probably 160 pills in there. And then I had been in the hospital for 2 weeks on a constant drip. And it felt like, I still can remember it so vividly, of just this, my entire body from the top of my head to my toenails hurt. And it was just like this crawling, like it's hard to even explain. You would do just about anything to make that stop. Like it's literally the worst feeling ever. And so yeah, that's why people use again. You know, it is literally like you feel like you are not going to survive. Like you can't take it. You're going to die. You're going to just kill yourself from the pain, you know? Like it's absolutely miserable. In my situation, it was just I was so young and naive. I didn't know what was happening. And so that worked in my favor because I didn't know like anything about anything yet. So, but anyone can end up there is all I'm saying. She was a baby. She was just so young. Yeah, and you're right. And they ended up focusing on the wrong things. And it prevents any honesty or openness. Yes. Yeah. You know, you got to have that balance. And then, like, you also have to have, you know, with law enforcement, it works both ways. They have to be able to trust you with information, you know, and if they tell you something that, and then not that they've done that because, you know, like I've never heard any of them speak Flint Farmer's name. Not, I don't know. I just, like, I haven't. And, where was I going with this? There was a comment. Oh, so if they tell you something and then you go and immediately run to Facebook or whatever, then they're not going to trust you with that private information. And if it is constantly this, like, get it out there as soon as possible and not just like keeping that information and trying to build that trust, like that can be one of the major compromises that you make, is to make an agreement of like, we're going to be more open with you and you're going to not tell anyone because we want to win. We want to get a verdict, the correct guilty verdict from a jury trial. If it comes to that, we want to win there. You know, we want to win justice. And maybe win's not the correct word, but you know what I mean? Like, so sometimes it can be just of like coming to that understanding of they need to sit down and explain to families, not just Karina's family, but all families, how important it is not to share information that is they're keeping that, because a good defense attorney can just literally blow up the entire thing, you know, and no one wants that. No one on any side wants that. Another thing that can be agreed on. Law enforcement doesn't want that. The families don't want that. Okay, now we're going somewhere. Now we know that we agree. So then from that agreement, we can make compromises and be like, we're going to tell you more. You're going to say less. There you go. Easy peasy, right? Yes. Very good. Yes, very true, Daisy. All right, guys. Well, we are been going strong for, oh my Lanta. It is 2:25 in the morning. I've been on since 11. 11:25. So I've been on for 3 hours. I am gonna go to bed. But I'm so not tired. As you all can see, I'm like not tired at all. But I'm going to hop off of here, and thank you for being here, everyone. I really appreciate it. Y'all are awesome, and I hope you have a good night. Expect for a members only live for tomorrow night. We're going to dig into some of the like deeper like aspects of the case and see what we can dig up. Again, that's not going to be shareable. Like not, I may make it members, not members only someday, but like, no, I won't, because I haven't done that in any of the other ones. Like, ain't nobody going to come in there and be taking screenshots and going to share it, because there are some things that need to just be amongst a small group. And then that's how you research. That's how you can really help. So that's why I'm like, I don't know what to even share, because it's just like, I don't know. I'm going to think about it. But chatty, Mel. I know. I have been. I really have been. So yeah, I'm going to go. And y'all have a good one. Thank you for being here.